Well, hello everyone. Here to show you the word of responsibility coloring activity right here. As you see right here is also known as like what you call is like you can maybe look at it as like what you call is like a note board or something like that. You know, anything what you call is like a say a piece of paper that is measured by like 10 10 by 5 inches, something like that, length and width it is. But you have right here is talk about it's like the word responsibility. And basically what I have shown right here, as you see right here, is wrote it, and then I guess that the right pronunciation will be is like for RESPONISIBITY or something like that. For responsibility. Of course, I may have added an extra I in there, or maybe got the I and the T reversed. It is, but basically that. So far as responsible it is for between right, and knowing about between right and wrong it is knowing about for responsible. It is for for responsibilities or anything like that, for anything responsible it is. And we could probably all think about that. That is like knowing about that the whole purpose about the word responsibility. The word for responsible it is like knowing about really what does that mean really. Is that knowing about with any kid would probably think about whenever they get on the school, get on the school bus it is, and then knowing about the fact about if they bring some home from school it is that their parents had to sign or anything like that. I can remember those years of needing to do that. Whenever the teachers would bring if it was a class field trip or whatever it was, a lot of times that they would want me to bring something home to have the parents sign it and then return it back to the school was. A lot of the things that they want me to sign, wanted me to take home to have the parents sign. A lot of it was related to field trips, and a couple of times I think I even missed some field trips because either I forgotten to bring it, forgotten to show it to my parents, or I forgotten to bring it with me whenever I was getting on the school bus. I had not always been on time, of course, getting to the school bus. By the way, anybody could probably think about that. Were you just late all the time? I'm like, yep, well. For whatever reason, I kept thinking about maybe the school bus came a little bit earlier than usual, and then I didn't get out there on time, and then the bus would only may have been running a few minutes late itself, and didn't bother to and maybe didn't bother to stop or anything like that. But anyway, talking about that. Whenever we're young, whenever we're young, maybe whenever we're 10 or 11 years old, that you may have it to where that yep, you have responsibility whenever you come home with homework whenever you come home with homework a lot of times isn't knowing about it's like between if it's who it's like between who is supposed to do it, who is supposed who is supposed it's supposed to do it's like it's supposed to who is supposed to work the homework. I'll just say work, but who is supposed to work the work it is. In a lot of ways it's like anybody will probably think about that knowing about on your first day of school it is you're like, oh well, who's responsible, of course, for bringing like what you call like whatever school supplies. It's like who's responsible for bringing the markers and of course with the pens and stuff like that. But anyway, that the calculators, and of course I remember my responsibility from a while back, of course, was bringing my glasses. The teachers would even say that you need to bring your glasses so that way you can see your work. It is. But knowing about the whole meaning about the word I say for responsibility, as you have right here, is like working with the right, it's like blank, and of course getting the wrong blank it is. I'll go ahead and use the word right here is for decision. And anybody will probably think about, for the word, decision it is. It's like you have right here, it's like working with the right, decision. And knowing about, getting the wrong. Anybody probably think about getting the wrong answers, or if it's what you call like getting the wrong response it is. But let's just say the word would be like, say, come up the word in random, and it's like, for getting the right, working with the right decisions. decision, and of course, getting the wrong, you say is like I can maybe use maybe I was thinking about maybe feedback, but on your hand too, that anybody more likely think about that they were for so far as is for the word responsibility, and so far as the ability. The ability to know about when you gotta do some things, it is. And anybody will more likely think about so far as ability between decision ability, it is. And that knowing about what the word responsibility it is knowing about what does that mean, usually for most of us, is knowing about basically that I can maybe write this down. It means basically that each person is supposed to respect their fair share for what see here for what needs to be done. And if anybody were to probably think about if we were to do our homework as knowing about the true meaning, of course, I guess in a dictionary could mean it's like that many of other things too. It could mean about the fact about that knowing about who's responsible for doing this and who's responsible for doing that, and of course with responsibilities it is. And like with most of my teachers would probably think about that you're not getting a smiley face. You're not getting a smiley face because you missed a word or anything like that. It was your responsibility, of course, to take the work home and then read the letter to your ma, to your pa or anything like that, or to your uncle or whoever it was, and knowing about that it was like that with responsibilities it is, and knowing about that a lot of times that whenever we're young, whenever we're in school, it is a lot of times we just want to go to school and of course make friends, and then of course like do our work, learn stuff, it is. And with some teachers, they will probably think about that we can maybe think about one thing that more likely we probably don't want to do whenever we're in school, it is that knowing about that maybe if it's homework, or maybe that there's an activity, of course, there may be an activity, of course, that they may have you doing in the class, it is, such as putting together, see here, a few things that I remember doing, and talk about studying about batteries, it is talking about, it's like you got the battery, battery, robotic, battery, was talking about, how batteries work, and of course, I guess that was like to say a science project it was. But anyway, that knowing about the things that more likely that you do want to do, and any type of punishments, of course, that they may have you doing at school, is knowing about so far as responsibility. It basically means that the important things about what you're supposed to be doing, such as if it's your homework, a lot of times that the schools or wherever that they will probably say that the students are responsible, of course, that is their agenda to turn in their work, of course, to read a book. It's like their priority, their agenda, the most important part, of course, about what they need to do. And when some people probably thinking about that, the responsibility, I like that it's the type of word to where it just seems like it's too strict. Anybody maybe think about that too strict, because on the other hand too, that are we pointing the finger at anybody? You're responsible for picking up the package at the post office. You're responsible for editing the photos, for editing, of course, the copyright, in fact, scans or anything like that. And you're responsible for making sure that each one of them has a stamp. You're responsible for this and that. And anybody more likely talk about it's like for the word responsibility. And the way I think about, I like that. With the way I think about the word responsibility is that a lot of times you you look it up in a dictionary, and quite a bit of times that anybody would probably think about that yeah, whenever I was going to school, anything that was copied out of a dictionary, more likely the teachers would say that they would give you some credit, but more likely what they probably want to see, of course, is what the student has to say about it. Knowing about is like, what do you think about the word responsibility? So far as we would be doing, if we would be doing a project related to like what you call like, the American Indians, it is. Say, the American Indians, go ahead and draw like what you call like an Indian right here. It is, and basically, who's responsible for showing up for the project, for the class, who's responsible for staying after school. It is, and talking about this, who's responsible for writing a paper about it, about this, type of Indian right here. It's like, so far as the American Indians right here. Anybody probably think about it, kind of looks like a clown, huh? But anyway, that what you have right here is like what you call like for the American Indians right here. And let's just say that, go ahead and pick a idea for if this was like a history project related to, like, say, as the American Indians. It's like knowing about that you're responsible for writing the book. You're responsible for carrying the book. And anybody would probably think about that yeah, really, is this all in the matter of the fact about, getting strict with our children? I'm like, a lot of ways, it's like, yeah, that, I don't know, that they didn't do what they were supposed to do, so any type of punishments that they may, have, it's like talking about that, you're going to have to make it up, of course, in study hall, or miss your free time. It's like miss your recess time or anything like that. Or if it's related to the fact about that you're going to have to stay after school, whichever it is. Anybody could probably think about that, yeah. At one time I have stayed after school before, but then, of course, I was in high school. But other than that, I guess you have it to where that if you do get behind on your schoolwork, it is, and some teachers that may do that they come up to agreement with the parent or legal guardian of whoever. It's like, let's talk about that a work assignment that you were supposed to do. You were supposed to turn in a 3-page flyer or anything like that, or a 3-page homework assignment related to like what you call like a I don't know if it's anything that anything related to history, or if it's anything related to science. It is anything related to like studying about magnets. It is. And we could probably think about if we were to get our schoolwork, it is, and a lot of times that what was going through my mind, of course, is that knowing about that, talking about who to who is supposed. It's like, so to to work the work, it is. And anybody probably think about that, yeah, if they give you homework to do, then what's the first thing you're going to do? Well, if it's not due until next week, I'll go ahead and wait until next week to go ahead and do it. And more likely, anybody would probably think about, it's like, yep, this type of word, really, that the word responsibility basically means that that really, no matter, I guess they say that no matter how say how no matter how old you are, no matter really about that, no matter, as you say, if you are a teen, anybody probably thinking about excuses, right? But anyway, but basically that I guess the whole part about this activity is talking about that they call it calculations about knowing about that yeah, between right and wrong it is, but basically talking about with responsibilities it is. And with each one of ours responsibility, of course, is maybe turning something in at a certain time, or that fact about a job. I could probably say about is that mainly it's a job. Anybody would probably think about after you graduate, after you finish school, it is knowing about your job. It is a responsibility, of course. And if you recently had children, or bought a house, or got mortgage payments, or maybe student loans, or any credit card payments or anything like that, and more likely that you probably think about so far as responsibility goes, is knowing about that. Yep, it seems that way. It seems like that the person, it's like so far as the the name, for whose name of course is on the bill, and then knowing about for the name. A lot of times anybody probably think about that yeah, for who's responsible of course for making the payments, huh? And on the other hand too, for A right here, it's like type of grade that you more likely credit, you more likely give yourself. If you was like talking about, it's like I finished up the chores, so where's my reward or anything like that. But anybody could probably think about that. That whenever you're young, that I guess that the whole part about about life is you're going to have a responsibility no matter what, and knowing about that more likely there's somewhere that you may have to be or something that you may need to do. It is, but there was a time for whenever I of course was irresponsible a couple of times, but then knowing about how to be able to get caught up, it was. And I could probably tell anybody here that in order to be able to get caught up, it was is basically that there was some punishment involved. It's like whatever decisions it was that I went ahead and did, is of course with the ability is knowing about that I took time of course away from my grades, and I took time away from we say is my schoolwork, and a lot of teachers were thinking about that whatever grades that you get, more likely that you got stuck with them. But on the other hand too, that knowing about, I could probably tell anybody here, is knowing about between the importance. Yeah, it's like talking about right here is talking about, it's like for I, and L for silent, and it is for the importance it is. Go ahead and right here, go ahead and switch to blue. So importance. So far as for importance it is. And anybody more likely to think about really, so far as importance, what does that even mean? It basically means that anything more likely, anything such as, or what you call, any actions that more likely, anything that from doing is as knowing about that anything that you learned, more likely if something related to anything that's given to you or anything like that, if there's any type of paperwork or whatever that you're given, a lot of times, like if you don't know what it is, it's your responsibility of course to find out it is. But basically the whole part about it is, say, the word responsibility, more likely I really think the whole truth, the part about the word, say, so far as the word responsibility and what does it mean, it basically means that we each have a job. Of course we each have a course, like talking about, for whatever part, or say, of the agreement, of course, that we got to work out. So far as working out, say, the issue, and knowing about the work that needs to be done. And I really just think that that's really what it is. It's all about the work. And basically, ever since I was 10 years old, a lot of times that the teachers, were getting to get on to me about that, about the work. Anybody probably think about think about it as like the word that rhymes with, like, say, LT, LIT. It's talking about right here is like you look it's like a lot of these markers, of course, to look forward. Anybody more likely think about it, so far as saying is like look forward, and so far as the time to time to complete complete the fair share, complete the fair share of what needs to be done. And anybody more likely think about what does that mean? It basically means that we each have a job to do, and one of those jobs, of course, is knowing about. It's like if you're like talking about between run behind, of course, being caught up. It is so far. It's like anybody more likely think about the proper word more likely will be as for schedule. It's good to keep a schedule around. Let's just say if you did miss an assignment or anything like that, and knowing about it, like anybody would probably think about that. Yeah, boo. Well, I don't want to do it. Well, I don't read books. I don't write papers. I think, I don't write papers. I don't even like working the controls on a calculator like this. I'm not into that stuff. And anybody will probably think about that. Yeah, well, you're not into that, right? Well, let's just say that if you don't do it, then more likely, if you want to know what your punishment is going to be, right? Well, basically, it's going to be like what you call right here. The punishment more likely be is like you have a smiley face like this right here. You have a smiley face right here. And of course right here, and then you got right here is the time clock. And anybody would probably think about that, yeah, if you don't do your work, you don't get a cookie. And I would probably think about it, anybody would more likely think about it, that yeah, if you do your work, then there's your reward. You get a cookie, or you get what you call, like some people may think about it. It's like you get your free toolkit. You say pencil. Of course, on the top you have right there is like what you call like the doodle. It's like you stand it right here, and then whenever you're ready to use the pen, it has it to where it feels real comfortable on the hand. It is, and of course you can go ahead and highlight the word. It's like it's like if you want to look to your left and right, and like do all kinds of funny. It's like if you want to draw a heart like this, and of course if you want to add like what you call like a little tail for love, say on the bottom of it, or anything like that. But anyway, anybody probably think about so far as responsibility goes. The word responsibility, basically, anybody probably think about it very much means do your fair share of the job, because if you don't, that's going to look bad on all of us too. That's going to look bad on you. Think about it. If you don't do your work, more likely it's going to look not so good on your say on your own self-esteem and on your hand too. So far as the meaning of talking about, it's like your fair share, of course, is like for what needs to be done. But other than that, let's talk about it so far as the word responsibility. And anybody more like to think about between responsible, you see right and wrong it is so far as the decision. And of course right here of knowing about it's like the ability of this is what I can do. But other than that, let's talk about say for the word responsibility coloring activity.